Welcome into Market Monday, where we take a look at everything going on in the market in Hockey Ultimate Team. Take a look at the costs, document it so that we know in the future what to expect when it comes to prices and events. Last week was really fun. I had a lot of good feedback from it. So this week we are going to carry it on. We'll go through all of the same cards, see what the prices are this week after worldwide launch. It is September 15th, Monday, September 15th. And it is the Monday after worldwide launch. So really interested to see how some of the prices shook out. Let's get into it. So first things first, let's start with icons specifically. We'll start with just making the icons themselves. So as it was yesterday, 83 to 85 overall icons were going for 15,000 coins per, which I know is now way shot up. There is none on the market for 15,000 coins. And in fact, it has jumped up quite a bit to, I believe, like almost 19,000, even higher. Yeah, we're looking at, I believe, 22, if memory serves. His memory is 22,000 coins on Monday, September 15th. So we're seeing a massive increase in price for those, and that probably has something to do with Paul Coffey and Sakic, and as well as everyone not having Fedorov and Solani already. So at 22,000 per, you need 5 of them. You're looking at 110,000 following early access. That is a pretty big increase, up from 75,000 on the Monday following early access. 35,000 more to make a icon card after worldwide release. So we're already seeing a pretty big increase with just the first card. Now to make those the 83 overall set, you need 81s to 82 overall alumni. Last week, those were going for 8,000 coins per, and that's actually stabilized. That is actually kind of shook out that way. So you're looking at about 24,000 coins going that route to make a 83 overall. So it's still actually cheaper to just buy an 83 overall alumni as opposed to buying the 81s and 82 alumni to make the 83. So that's interesting there. But that has basically stayed the same for this event. Now, when it comes to just total icons on the market, last week there was 142 total. Since worldwide release, it's only up to 180. So 40 more have hit the market. And you have to remember now that it's 110,000 to make an icon. And yeah, there's all of them are available except Coffey and Sakic. And when you consider that last week, I really thought that we'd see Solani and Fedorov go up in price. You basically, there was one Solani up for 75,000. There was no Fedorov. And as you can see, Solani's actually fallen in price. You've got Fedorov now up for 75. And all of the other, like Pronger, Thornton, Chelios, for example, they're all around 40,000 coins, which is extremely cheap. But that also probably plays into the fact that a lot of teams are hitting the salary cap, and you can't really afford to have a $7 million cap hit for a card that isn't super advantageous to have. But yeah, Solani crashing in price, I did not see. I'm curious if he starts to go up as more and more players get the game. They start to buy him. Solani's one of the best cards, if not the best card. So very interested to see how that goes. But yeah, these prices have fallen quite a bit from the initial early access launch after worldwide release. I'm very interested to see this price when the next week rolls over. All right, now on to the heroes. So if you want to make a hero, you need to trade in 81 to 83 overall alumni. And again, those are going for about 8,000 per. 8,000 times 5, you're looking at 40,000 coins to make a heroes card. That is the exact same price as what they were last week. It was 40,000 coins. There was only 14 total heroes on the market. It's only up to 23, which is pretty crazy. And a lot of them are quite expensive. Like Kachuk has fallen. Now he's under 30,000 coins. But Naslund is still holding strong. And I have a feeling that that's probably because of the fact that he's Swedish and, you know, he fits into some boosts pretty effectively. But yeah, not a lot of heroes on the marketplace, which doesn't make much sense because they're lower overalls than icons. So interested there in that, but that is roughly the same price since the early access launch. Now, lastly, to make the 81 overall alumni, you can trade in 79 and 80 overall alumni. Last week, these were going for 2,500 per, and it's actually gone up. That's pretty crazy. So about 500 coins per, up to 3,000 coins to make an 81 overall. You need 3 of them to make 180 overall, which would be 9,000 coins. So it's cheaper to still go and just buy them on the auction house. This set really isn't worth it. But yeah, you're starting to see an increase in these alumni costs. All right, now on to the event. Last week we had the Fresh Ice event, and now we've got the Check My Game event. And it requires 82 to 84 overall player items to make a Master Set player. If you wanted to just buy the 82 overalls, you're looking at about 16,000 coins. You're going to need 3 of them to make a Master Set player. And then to get an 82 overall and above, you'll need 2 of them. Those go for about 8,000 coins. So you're looking at about 64,000 coins in value to make a Master Set player item from the Check My Game event. And that's kind of interesting because that's double the price of the Fresh Ice event. Now, these are 85 overalls. When it comes to these cards, so again, it costs about 64,000 to make one untradeable. You've got Jack Eichel, who looks to be the best from week 1, and he's holding strong at over 90,000 coins, roughly. That doesn't really surprise me. He's one of the better cards. But you've got guys like Matthew Tkachuk, who got a second MSP, and he's looking at it right around 60, so it's actually cheaper to just buy Matthew Tkachuk tradable. Brent Burns is another popular one. Again, looking around 80,000, so more expensive to buy his card. And same thing with Darlene. For tradable Master Set player items from this event, you're looking at around 80 to 100,000 coins for the cards that are sought after, so quite expensive. Now, to get into the event, you need 78 to 79 overall cards. Last week, 78 overall cards were going for the bare minimum at about 1,100. And this is a pretty big jump. Obviously, the last event required 77 and 78 items. This one just required 78. But you're looking at 1,500 per, so that's a little bit more expensive when it comes to actually making the item. You would need 3 of these to make 182 overall item, and then you need to make 3 of this set to make a Master Set player, which is actually quite cheaper if you go that route. You're looking at about 40,000 coins. So that's interesting, a little bit of a discount if you go that route instead of just buying the 82s right off the auction house. All right, and lastly, I want to take a look at the popular line combos. So last week we were looking at Ducks and the Blackhawks because those were 2 of the most popular ones. Troy Terry specifically with the Ducks. Terry wasn't even listed, and now he's up for about 40,000 coins. So he has come down quite a bit in price as more cards have come out. So you're starting to see a pretty big dip on him, around 40,000 coins to get him. And you've got McTavish, who was 60,000 coins last Monday. He's now going for under 35,000. So I think that as the season goes along, chasing the cards that are the best for the line combo currently is where you're going to lose a lot of coins. Just by judging off this, that's almost half the value in a week. Looking at some of the more popular Blackhawks, we've got Teravainen. Last week, he was going for 60,000 coins. Right now, you can get him for just under 50, so he's come down a little bit. And as has Ryan Donato, about 20,000 now coins cheaper to grab Ryan Donato. Now, Bedard's card is a good example of what happens when they release a newer version of that player. He got a captain card. Last week, he was going for 30,000 coins. He got a new captain card. He's going for half that, less than half that. 12,500 is the cheapest one up right now. That's a pretty crazy slashing, and I think that's just something that you've got to come to expect when you've got specific cards that fit into a line combo. Now, lastly, we take a look at some of the highest overall individual base card items to see when they start to crash. Now, McDavid last week was 330,000 coins, and at the current rate right now, you can get him for about 260,000. So a major drop in price right there. I have a feeling that this one's going to go up simply because people will start buying up McDavid, and now after worldwide release, you're not going to have as many packs opened all at once. Worldwide release is obviously exciting, especially with how crazy the release was. So I would anticipate this goes up maybe a little bit. I'm not sure. I'm interested to follow McDavid's card because he's still the best in the game. When it comes to Draisaitl, interesting here, Draisaitl held his value. He was about 80,000 coins in early access, and that's where he's stood. I'm wondering if it's because he fits that German team build, the German line combination, but interesting there that Draisaitl basically stayed the same. And then we've got Nathan McKinnon, who's now right around 210,000 coins. He was going for 250 last week, so a little bit of a discount. There is one up for actually just under 200,000, so starting to see his price come down just a little bit. Cale Makar was 100,000 during early access. He's roughly sitting at that right now as well, so nothing really changed with Cale Makar. The last one I was taking a look at was Kucherov, who has dropped almost 30,000 coins in value, 43,000 for Nikita Kucherov, so he dropped quite a bit from early access. I'm surprised. Again, I'm really curious to see next week because early access and then obviously worldwide launch, those are 2 substantial time periods in the market. The next week, you should start to see things normalize where players don't get as many packs. They're not ripping packs. So you're starting to see the market dry up, I think, this coming week. I'm curious to see if these prices rebound a little bit, but you did see some significant discounts from worldwide release compared to early access, so interesting there. And then when it comes to total cards in the auction house, last week at this time, there was 17,400 player items in the auction house, 17,800 after worldwide release. So pretty interesting that the rest of the player base gets in the game. But again, I think they're buying more than selling just because they don't open as many packs. But it has stayed roughly the same in terms of just total items as well. So some interesting things to take note of after our first week. Again, we'll be back next Monday with another Market Monday going over what's shaken out in terms of the auction house prices so that we know what we can expect going forward. Thank you guys again for watching. I'll see you next episode. Have a good one.